Thank you, listeners. I hope this discussion would be useful for the end users. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to present my talk based on the pictorial presentation. We will discuss these um, details in four different heads. One, that the requirement of containers, so which is very important for plant production. The size and the time of the plant, the volume of roots will decide the container types used in the plant. The nursery management is very important uh, after we use the containers of uniform size for different crops. So using different type of containers for one crop may not be feasible in operation mechanically and also robotically. So these are the constraints when we use containers or root trainers. We have to stick as per the requirement of the crop. The crop, when we plant either by seeds or by cuttings, the root volume required to be intact in the duration, the plant size we need for outplanting. So here, as you see, there are containers in the pro trays, circular shape. There are square shape. There are oval shape. There are rectangular shape, and there are root trainers. So root trainers are largely used for growing the ornamental plants, where we need more root volume as compared to the seedlings. So normally these are beyond the seedling stage when we call them saplings. So normally our seedlings, they stay in pro trays for 22 days or almost 30 days time. Beyond this, if there is a delay, we are supposed to hold our seedlings in the trays itself, because there is a time by the farmer, by the entrepreneur, or by the greenhouse owner that it might delay for a week or so. So as you see, the plugs containers are very important to deal with the pro trays. Even if we use the root trainers and the low volume plants, if we want to plant, take out the plants, you can see at the left hand side down, you have three netted containers. So we can use these netted containers initially to prepare the plants according to the size and the stage of plants or saplings. We can accommodate with the root containers, and also we can use the fiber tray and also jiffy plugs. So right hand side down, you can see the jiffy plugs are there. So they are uh, almost naked, and when you pour the water in it, they swells and they become uh, to the volume of root trainers. So either you can insert them in the root trainers and pour the water, and they become sufficiently to that size, and you can plant the seeds or seedling or propagule in it, after maybe of cutting, or maybe of leaf cutting, maybe of stem cutting, maybe of terminal cutting. So these plants, they accommodate in the containers, and we can use on them for growing at large scale inside the nurseries, and also our greenhouses, which are meant for propagation and nursery raising. So here, these containers, they have a very a typical role according to the crops and also the nature of seedling. So as I said, the growing media is also very important. So we will discuss the growing media, which is the standard one in the business. Here all supposed to be used growing media is a mixture of coco peat, perlite, and vermiculite. So why do we use this media? We use this media because it is inert, this is aseptic, and this is easy and lightweight. So making 3 volumes of coco peat plus 1 volume of perlite and 1 of vermiculite. So 3 is to 1 is to 1 ratio mixture by volume, not by weight. So please do remember that this media is mixed not by weight but by volume. So like 3 buckets of coco peat, expanded coco peat, and 1 bucket of perlite and the another 1 bucket of vermiculite can be mixed together, and you can make it a best mixture of it. So the advantage here is that this growing media, which is coco peat, so coco peat gives the sufficient space for the roots for uniform distribution. And when we add the perlite, perlites are the rock ash molecule which are around in nature, and this molecule of perlite can absorb water and retain it to the tune of 10 times of its weight. Suppose if 1 gram perlite molecules are there, they can retain inside them 10 ml of water, and whenever the plant requires, that water will be released by these. Then we have vermiculite. So you understood the function of coco peat, which is a cocoa nut husk powder, messed or decomposed powder, fiber, and then we have perlite, which will retain its water. So coco peat will permit the plant to have a uniform root distribution and holding the plant in a form, and this perlite will absorb and retain the water, and it will release whenever the roots they require water for its growth. Not only water but also the nutrients in this water solution. Then we have a vermiculite mixture, vermiculite molecules, which are normally, these flecks are rectangular in size and they are not the round one, as perlite is a round one. So this when we mix in the growing media along with the perlite and coco peat, so the capillary movement of water is broken. So normally the water evaporates from the flux as a through capillary movement. So when we add these rectangular flakes which are normally mixed in the growing media, so they break down the capillary movement and water does not evaporate in the straight way up to the air. So this checks the evapotranspiration loss of water in the growing media, and at the same time, it makes the roots to travel across the walls of coco peat and perlite. So then you have a very good and uniform distribution of roots in the flux. So this media is the standard media, which I think is worldwide available, and this is already standardized. So if making more media amendments is of no use, because the three of these components are inert, they do not have any nutrients of these itself, and they do not interact except coco peat when it is decomposed and well adjusted with the pH. It does not counter the pH of water and the other fertilizers, so it acts as an inert growing medium. Here, this growing media is mixed in the ratio of 1 is to 3 is to 1 is to 1 ratio, and then the pro tray is ready to be filled up. So here we mix this medium, and the growing mixture is ready, and then we can gently take out the trays and we pour on it, and we fill all the cavities in pro tray and uniformly, so that it should not be too loose or too tight. And how does it make assured that this is not too tight and too low? After putting the media, we sprinkle water over it, and wherever it is loose, it goes down. Again, we can add the medium mixture, and if it is up, then we just put a gentle hand and we can take out the extra medium from the place. So here, after the media is poured, then the small depressions are made, and single seed can be planted in the trays. So this is the manual planting normally in the growing media, which we can manually fill the trays and we can plant each single tray. But this work can be undertaken by pneumatic seeders in the small machines, where the uniform planting can be done with the pneumatic seeders, and in a no time, when the labor cost is very expensive, in no time, a machine can plant the same trays with much accuracy and efficiency. So here, next, this is up to the planting, and they can be stored until the germination happens. So then the role comes of the growing structure and their designs. So normally, if you have a climate which is the normal one, then you can still have a structure where the curtains can be made down and up during the winter and summer months, and the enough ventilation can be provided. So roof ventilation is the key factor here, and the structures can be protected against all odds of rains, winds, and low temperature outside and high temperature on the top. So these structures can be modified to the climate available, and you can see they can also be tailor made at low cost. So these normally these structures can also be made very high costly greenhouses. But in the Asian climate, where the temperature limits are either very low or very high at the same time in the year, so there we have to go the structure which can normally access the advantage of closing down all the curtains in the winter months and making all those curtains up in the summer months. If you have the entire year of summer, then you can have naturally ventilated structure where there are no curtains. Only the insect proof netting can be done from the outside until the gutter height, and the top of it can be covered with the polyethylene. So these structures are enough to provide the up to 70% ventilation, where our plants they live, they grow happily, and we can maintain the nursery. At the same time, the nurseries can still be protected against the cold temperature and high temperature from all the curtains, and the movement of insect pests can also be restricted by putting the several components like insect-proof netting, then polyethylene as a screen, rolling screen, and also providing the green net for shading, alum net for cutting down the radiation from the top, and also the boom irrigation for irrigation. So these all components, they become very essential when you make the operations easy from manual to mechanical. So here, the advantage is that the low cost structure can also be made if you have the constraints of the climate constraints and also the ease of operations. So here, the nylon material, netting material of enough good strength, and also the iron mesh can also be used to cover the entire structure and grow the seedlings. So here, in one way, you can also bring down the cost of making stands and the racks, and also using pro trays fitting within the stands. So here, the idea is to grow the uniform as I said, that the trays are have two portions. One without the insulation material, which is made of thermocol base, and so here you can see the low-cost nurseries can still be maintained without putting the insulation when your nurseries are set in a climate where there are no extreme of temperatures in the winter months and also summer months. So here a low-cost nursery can be designed with the low-cost system and more of manual operations as compared to the mechanical operations. So here next comes the propagation methods of ornamental plants. As you know, the large number of ornamental plants are either grown by cuttings or when the seeds is propagated. So these are replanted in the pots or in the containers again. So these methods, because to apply on the larger scales, as you see here, are robotic machines. Of course, they are the pneumatic plates which are being run, and these are the mechanical structures where the plant can be sucked from the plugs and can be transplanted at the same time in the pots. So these semi automatic and highly automatic devices can still be are still being used on a large scale, where the millions and millions plants are planted in a single day. And this robotic machine, as I said, can also be used for making the cuttings. So if you have placed the cuttings in a tray, uh, uh, and these robots, robotic hands, they will just take the cutting from the trays moving in the back, and they can plant in 1 minute like 36 plants in these pots. So these propagation pots or trays, one robotic hand can be very effective in planting 3600 plants in 1 minute. So you can see the speed of their planting in the pots or in the pro trays. So here, when you have a large nursery, huge nursery, then you need to be very effective. So if we say the manual operation at the same time cannot be so efficient, so these robotic hands can work like equal to 100 laborers at a time. So this in Europe, it's a very highly mechanized operation for cutting, planting, and also propagation. Mm. So, like you can say, the rose and the other plants when they are the micro plants. So simply how this operation can be taken. So micro plants are planted by cuttings, terminal cuttings, and then these terminal cuttings are subjected to the pneumatic planters and robotic planters. So these planters, they plant in the small pots, and they on the rolling bells they can go and stack in the uh, back operations in the greenhouse. So these operations are very easy to when you use the machines. So this is one example that this even a small machine can do much effective planting of these seedlings in the pots, and these pots can roll over to the belters and can be stacked in the portion of the greenhouse on the conveyor belts. So here you can see the several plants, ornamental plants. They can be planted by machines, and also they can be very effective. So here you can see at the same time the plants are being collected and stacked in the benches. So these benches are movable benches. So this machine mechanical device can take care of all the pots, uh, pulling them to the space where they are need to take. So here you can see after the plants are ready in the trays, how this machine uh, can take up the individual plants, and these on this rotatory panel, the plants are moving after transplanting. So each robotic hands, they drag out the plant, and these plants can be planted in the pots and can be stacked in the next. So as I said that the propagation of like chrysanthemum is done by cutting. So if you have the tray here and you roll this system to the robotic arm inside, so these plants can be planted in no time in a circular robotic arm, and these planted trays will go out in the greenhouse. So this transplanting, even the robots can also be used for transplanting the healthy plants and into the greenhouse uh, space, and from one end to the another, and the supply of plants is taken, and these plants, plug plants, are transplanted in a commercial greenhouse. So this is how the transplanting work is going, and it is going from one end to the another, and you can see this tray carrying the seedlings, and seedlings can be planted in no time. So this is again one aspects that the irrigation, how does irrigation takes place. So in the greenhouses, even if we make the small greenhouse at low cost greenhouse, so the boom irrigation system where sprinklers are, you can see the nozzles are set to sprinkle down the water, and at the same time the small pegs are up from the machines where the micro sprinklers are on, and they can irrigate the entire highly dense planting in the nurseries and also in the greenhouses at the same time. So these machines is are movable. They can move and irrigate the entire. So not only irrigation, but this water can contain fertilizers. As I said that the fertilizers normally are soluble and micronutrients are soluble. So the micronutrient, all essential 16 micronutrients and macronutrients, including NPK, are coming in the concentration of the which is matching to the tissue level of the plant. So plants are are normally tested for their nutrients at tissue level, and this water will contain the exact amount of NPK and micronutrients. So if we say the application of nitrogen here ranges, depending on the plants, ranges from 120 ppm to 145 ppm. If you take the case of phosphorus 60 to 85 ppm, and in the same water solution. And phosphorus and potash, if you say potash 40 to 60 ppm, can also be taken up in the same. So this NPK, uh, including the micronutrients like calcium, iron. So calcium being 35 ppm, and iron being 40 to 45 ppm. So these concentrations are available in the water. At the same time, magnesium. So if you say all the 16 micro essential micronutrients or macro NPK, they are traveling in the fertigation water and sprinkled all time, every time, in every drop. That's why the crop remains healthy. So here and now we come up to the different systems. So ornamental plants, if we have a cool climate, so normally, so the upper canopy is warm enough to supply. So if you can see here the baskets plants, potted plants, and also the ornamental plants, they can be made like in the baskets, hanging baskets, to use the entire space. And also the bedding plants you can see here, they are entirely put on the trays itself, though they are flowering, but they flower, and these supplies are made when they come into the flowering. So there is a trend to buy the ornamental plants when either the flowers, they appear very colorful and opening time, so that the first bud or first flower opens, and then this plant goes to the customer, where the customers are happy to buy those plants to have their decorative value for like 1 month or 2 months in the season. So there is a trend to buy these ornamental plants when they are ready to bloom in their balconies, patios, corridors, sills, and also in verandas, and also on the roof. So these in the climate where hardly we have a 4 month season, so 60% of the time, like 8 to 9 months time, is when you cannot grow any plant even outdoor. So the indoor, these plants, they are a very good business for indoor flowering or indoor maintenance of the flowering and ornamentals. And after the season comes, so then there is a market up for using those plants in the open courtyards, balconies, and many other places all along the buildings and residentials. So when you have a large scale multiplication, so I would stress here that the industry has grown so much that the plants are being exported from one to another country, and the country of growing and the country of demand. So especially the Dutch flower industry is so diverse that they grow more than 3,000 of types of plants ready to serve, ready to cater. So these plants are ready to serve, and they are grown up to the stage when the final consuming time is there. So these ornamental plants are grown in high-tech nurseries where the indoor climate is set to provide an optimal lighting, temperature, and also humidity at the same time, and nutrition as well. So these you can see on the large scale, they're very effective. And when you do specialize in these, so you can have the diverse system. So as you see the multi-layer farming in this greenhouse, where the desired number of plants can be taken up from any corner of the greenhouse, and they can go to the supply line. So here, when the plants are ready to bloom, they can be staggered, taken out from any corner, can be supplied. So these multi-layered greenhouses or mechanically operated greenhouses are very uh, uh, hotspot business in Europe and US. So here, uh, if we say the manual, so this a slide I'm showing only because this space of 100 square meter area is endowed with the 3 lakh plants. So if you have in 100 square meter area 3 lakhs plants stacked, so if you earn 1 rupee in a 1 month, so 100 square meter area can give you a 1 lakh rupees profit. If you propagate these plants manually or mechanically in a space which you can afford right from a very small amount of investments. So this is normally a bamboo-like structure, but if you say the quality of propagation of the same plants is as good as it is the best greenhouse. But this time frame can be limited to 2 to 3 months in a year. So if you want to do entire year, then you have to shift to a very sophisticated greenhouse or polyhouse, where you can grow the large number of ornamental plants and stack them in so much of density, and using like hanging baskets, pots, and the entire space, where you can be very highly economic and you can earn more profits. You can also prepare seedlings in your greenhouse or polyhouse, where you can earn multifold profits at a time, or the time when you do have a large enough space growing the ornamental plants. So you can see the density of plants. So if you can grow like 300 plants in 1 square meter area, so this is a very good income for a farmer or for an entrepreneur, which can grow commercially the ornamental plants and also the seedlings for the season and also for the off season. So this kind of growing also offers the growing ornamental plants to that stage when they are perfectly bloom, and when you enter into the marketing of the same, like flowering pots and baskets, if you charge 4 to 5 times higher price, nobody can say no. So these are the very hot spot ornamental plants which normally can be grown and for the higher profits and very systematically. So these are under protected structures where you need to maintain the quality of air, the concentration of gases, CO2 and oxygen, and also the light levels to that optimal where they grow and produce the nice flowers. So as you see, the flowers, they are very important plants. When we grow them, if in a smaller area, they can fetch more income than any other systems. So, like tropical plants can also be explored for different fonts and foliages, where you can create an environment where the large number of plants can be uh, hang down and can be grown for a commercial purpose. So this is again, a very important plants which is normally very lucrative in the times where the winter season comes, and this is sold like anything. So this is short plant where we grow these plants in the summer, and when the winter comes, they become multicolored, and they produce the different color foliage, and these are very short. They are also propagated by cuttings. So these plants can also be propagated in an area where the large in multi-tier systems, where you can produce large number of plants in a smaller area and can fetch more income. So you can see the flowering plants business is so huge in Europe, where the glass houses are meant for these particular crops. So you can see the large number of bedding plants can be prepared and sold. Similarly, the hops can also be grown as a business, where the ready-made plants can be served to the consumers. Ornamental plants like marigold and chrysanthemum, then hedge plants, then fruit plants can also be grown in the jiffy plugs, where they takes more than a month or sometimes 2 months or 3 months time, and you can cater the demand, where the plant, one single plant can be sold instead of 4 to 5 rupees, but 10 to 15 rupees. So where you can get maximum profit out of. So, and as I said, the large number of plants can be prepared in a smaller area and for a big business here. So any ornamental plants can be grown by making cuttings, and from the saplings, seedlings as saplings, they can be. So this is here an example of shifting the greenhouse cultivation from the normal cultivated crops to the ornamental plants. So here in a greenhouse of 1 acre, you can see more than 300 types of ornamental plants. Largely, they are propagated by cuttings, and in 1 year as a routine work. So a farmer can earn, like from 1 acre greenhouse, instead of earning 50 to 60 lakh rupees in 1 year, they can earn up to 2 crores per year. So as I said, that the ornamental plants, they serve as a stock for their own, and after maintaining them, you can cut their vegetative parts and can multiply. So this is one example which is near around Delhi. So this farmer has changed his all the greenhouses, polyhouses, to grow the ornamental plants, and where he's been able to produce the plants out of 2.5 acre greenhouse, 1 hectare greenhouse, for around 6 crores of rupees in 1 year. So here you can see this business can be grown for a large scale, and multifold profits can be made. So here, though the systems are more manually, not mechanically, but still a business can be achieved at a very. So if this system can be equipped with the mechanical operations, so still you have a option of growing to a multi-flow. So here, I wanted to stress on one line that the any business, including the ornamental plants and flowers, though seasonal flowers are more perennial, if ornamental plants for foliage and beauty, they are less perishable in nature, and this system can be very lucrative. But if you grow a seasonal crops where the perishability is an issue, if at the right stage you are not able to market those plants or flowering plants, then you might lose on the profit. So here I would stress to economize your production and scale to the extent that you should be a small farmer but happy farmer. As I give this example that in US, if you go, a small farmer means the one who earns up to 50,000 US dollars every year. So this, they call it small farmer in the floriculture business. If you have a medium farmer, then they can uh, earn up to 500,000 US dollars every year out of growing the flower and ornamentals. The same size in US, when you have to have a system which you can earn more than 500,000 US dollars, you are called a large farmer. So please keep in mind that money is a economic context. So if you have an investment to grow your business of ornamental plants, you have to be very careful that the investments are initially very high. So if you want to get back your money, your investment is always a risk. So if you have set your market channels, and the destination and contracts for supplying the ornamental plants, then you are a very good at business. If not, then remain uh, in your thoughts is, please do not take too much of tension, because taking too much of tension is a very high risk. So you may end up, so taking too much load, you can end up in losses or in hanging in the air. So this is all about the today's presentation. If you have the questions and queries, they are most welcome. Thank you very much.
you, sir, for the detailed presentation. Now I'll take up some questions. In the meantime, we have some students who have joined this meeting. They can ask one by one. First, I like to invite Dr. Anshit Kumar. Dr. Ankit, you can post your questions or you can ask directly.
No, no, ma'am, no question. It's a very nice presentation by the sir. It is very fantastic and visual presentation by sir. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rahul Raj.
Mr. Rahul, you can unmute yourself.
Mr. Rahul, any questions from your side? Okay. Let me take the questions here. Okay. What advanced nursery management practices significantly improve the overall health and quality of ornamental plants?
Yes, ma'am. As I said that the if we have a systematic structures, the use of containers, and use of mechanical operations. So it does not require to use the heavy and costly machines, but nowadays small machines also have come. Pneumatic seeders may have come up, pneumatic planters may have come up, and also the uniform growing media, containers, and also soluble fertilizers are available. If one can use all these technologies, they can be very efficient and very productive. And at the same time, if they have a supply and demand, proper demand in the market, they can be very economic and timely suppliers. Then, if you have explored the market like supplying flowering plants or potted plants, potted ornamental plants, like from southern India, from Kochi region, Kupam region, there are large number of consignments going as the plants in containers. So containerized plants, they are going by shipments. So if you have a good destination market and good plants to export, so then market is there and you can be very economic. So take one example of sending areca palms, fishtail palms, and also date palms to Dubai and also to other Gulf countries. So one plant which is grown up for 7 to 8 years in India can fetch 1 lakh rupees per plant out of this export. So you cannot imagine how big business is this. Yeah, please.
Okay. And can you highlight key techniques for efficient pest and disease management in ornamental plant nurseries?
Yes, this is very important. When you start any portion of it, you have to sterilize this section very well. So the against some fungal infections, you can use the recommended fungicides. You can make if you have a control on the warming of the structure up to 60 degrees centigrade temperature. So you can make use of tapping the sun energy up to 60 degrees centigrade in the greenhouse nursery. You can sterilize this one. And if you have the hot water sterilization methods available in your system, you can sterilize against the diseases. But when you take all these cares, so normally the insect pests, they does not come. So not even diseases they come. So you have to be very careful with the entry of your workers. They should not carry any pathogen from outside or any vector or virus vector from outside to inside. So if you take all these precautions, then normally it does not happen because they are inside the protector structure. So hardly there are chances of spreading and controlling any disease. So if you are using the growing media can again be sterilized. If after you make the mixture, you can sterilize. It's a matter of only 15 to 20 minutes that up to 260 degrees centigrade temperature in autoclave, you can make this media sterilized and it is as perfect as the inert media. So this
Okay.
is.
Yeah. And how do advanced irrigation methods contribute to water efficiency in ornamental plant cultivation?
Yes, as I said, the ornamental plants are more of leafy plants, so they evaporate more water in the year to maintain their surface as compared to the other crops. So normally we need a sprinkling system. So one to wet their leaf surface, another to create the enough humidity inside so that they should not suffer for water. They should not bring any water loss. And if this all water can contain the fertilizers, as I said, the all soluble fertilizers for all essential micronutrients are coming. So if every drop of water has the fertilizer, so there is no deficiency and toxicity symptoms in the plants. So normally we have a very healthy plants inside.
Okay. And in terms of soil health, what practices are crucial for maintaining optimal conditions in ornamental plant nurseries?
Yeah, if you see the largely we have open grown nurseries, open field grown nurseries, where soil is a very good medium to grow the. So normally, it is very difficult to control the infestation of different problems. Bacterial, we may face bacterial wilt. We may face uh, fungal infestation when the seedlings are there, when we cut and prune them to have a plant architecture. So the care should be taken every time. The fungicidal spray should be done at different intervals. The soil, as I said, the best method is to cover the soil, spray like earlier we used to use the formaldehyde. Now we are using against the nematodes and other pathogens. We are using metham sodium. Metham sodium is a very effective chemical. So we spray on the soil and cover with the polyethylene mulching for 10, 11 to 15. So our soil is cure almost for the all infestation of fungi, bacterial problems and nematode problems. So normally, if we do it, so normally up to 1 year, we do not have any problem in the soil infestation.
And how do advanced nursery practices contribute to reducing the production time of ornamental plants?
Yes, this, as I said, if we use the mechanical process of multiplying plants, seeding and transferring into the pots and stacking in the greenhouse, if we use the mechanical method, so we are 10 times more efficient than the manual ones. So if we want to grow and with the quality of plants and increase the profit by many folds, so we have to be mechanical. So manual nurseries, they are not that profitable. So if we have the nurseries, we must go even with the smaller size like 500 square meter, where you can have a capacity of growing 25 lakh seedlings. So if you have a small pneumatic seeder to save the labor cost, if you have uh, like boom irrigation to use for fertilizer application and water application, if you have the proper insulation curtains in it, so you can be very productive. So using the innovative structure, modern structure is always beneficial on the front, that you uh, invest a little more, but you can profit, you can make profit 3 to 4 times according to in comparison to your increased investments.
Okay. And are there specific climate control strategies that are particularly beneficial for ornamental plant nurseries?
Yes, now the nurseries, they do have lighting system, so which we call supplementary lighting. So when we do not have enough sunshine or enough photosynthesis, we can increase the light inside the greenhouse. And also at the same time, there are photosensitive plants. So many foliage and ornamental plants, they require specific light levels or day length conditions. So if we have the plants which require long day lengths, so we can increase the day length by lightening 3 to 4 hours in the evening. So we can increase the day and we can have more vegetative growth, and we can have our schedule almost less than 20, we can save 2 to 3 weeks time going to the market. So our plant will mature 2 to 3 weeks time earlier if we can regulate the light And also we can use the growth hormone inside the greenhouse.
Okay. And what sustainable practices can be implemented in ornamental plant nurseries to minimize environmental impact?
Yes, when you grow plants, ornamental plants, so hardly there is an impact on the environment until unless you do not use more of insecticides or other chemicals. So if you use eco-friendly chemicals, pesticides like biopesticides or biochemicals against various pathogens, diseases, then you are very eco-friendly. So now there are availability of biopesticides in the market, and you have bioagents, and you have the sustainable approaches to control, to manage the pests, insect pests and diseases. So they are more eco-friendly, environment friendly.
Okay. And in the context of market trends, how can advanced nursery management practices enhance the marketability of ornamental plants for farmers?
Yes, this is very important that we now have a demand of very high demand of ornamental plants. So every city is growing, and every smart city is becoming smart. So now we have a large, huge demand of ornamental plants for vertical gardens, for green buildings, for indoor planting, for creating oxygen banks. So we are a short of supply. So a large number of plants we are importing from Thailand, from China, from Vietnam, and many other countries. That is only because we are not able to cater the our domestic demand. So if some farmers, some entrepreneurs, some unemployed graduates can come into the business. So there is a market of 12,000 crores every year in ornamental plants and ornamental trees. So we are very short of material in India, catering the demand of developing urban states and cities. Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this is the last question. Can you share insights on the latest trends in ornamental plant breeding and propagation techniques?
As I said, the large number of ornamental plants can be propagated by cutting seeds. And this is a very standard protocol for raising cuttings. And tissue culture is the one that which can be taken up. So large number of ornamental plants or large number of tissue culture houses, they are producing large number of tissue culture. So if I quote one example from Pune, KF Bioplants, they buy protocol from the foreign countries, from European country like Holland, and they produce millions and millions plants. They are catering to 27 Asian and other countries. They are making a profit. They are making a business of 3,000 crores every year. So you can imagine that the demand and the possibility of having this business as a protocol. So the tissue culture can be the first and foremost business which we can take up in the large number of ornamental plants. If you see the seed oriented ornamental plants, where largely they are herbs and annuals, there are the companies which they produce hybrid seeds. So hybrid seeds can be bought and the nurseries can be planted, and large number of flowering potted annual plants can be supplied in the market, where there are a huge demand for uh, for ground covers, for these flowering beds, for decorative ornamental foliages. So there is a huge demand. If somebody can come up, we can still be there with the tissue culture, and it's a very highly profitable business.
Okay. Okay, so before we wind up, we have Miss Neha who joined just a minute ago. Miss Neha, if you have any questions, you can ask her. Miss Neha, you can unmute yourself or you can post in the chat box. We'll wait for a few seconds for you to reply back. One second, there's something. Okay. Yeah, Miss Neha doesn't have any question. Mr. Rahul, you would like to ask anything? Okay. Okay, sir. So we don't have any further questions. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we'd like to thank you for the detailed presentation and answering all the questions. And we also like to thank all the participants for joining this meeting. The meeting will now be closed.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
most welcome, sir. Thank you.